DD News.
In a landmark military reform, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that the country will now have a Chief of Defence Staff as head of the Tri-Services, a proposal pending since the Kargil conflict in 1999. The Prime Minister said that as head of the three services, the Chief of Defence Staff will ensure synergy and provide effective leadership to the armed forces, which is the need of the hour as the country deals with evolving security challenges. Without naming Pakistan, the Prime Minister also called for countries that stand for humanity to unite against forces sheltering, promoting and exporting terrorism.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a key announcement for the ramparts of the Red Fort on India's 73rd Independence Day. In a major military reform, the Prime Minister said the country will now have a Chief of Defence Staff that will ensure synergy among the three services and provide effective leadership to them. He said defence reforms are the need of the hour, as India has to keep pace with the changing world and deal with security challenges facing India. He pointed to how several experts and commissions have near consensus on the need for such reforms.
आज युद्ध के दायरे बदल रहे हैं, रूप रंग बदल रहे हैं। आज जिस प्रकार से टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन व्यवस्थाएं बन रही है, तब भारत को भी टुकड़ों में सोचने से नहीं चलेगा। हमारी पूरी सैन्य शक्ति को एक मुश्त होकर के एक साथ आगे बढ़ने की दिशा में काम करना होगा। चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ सीडीएस इसकी व्यवस्था करेंगे और इस पद के गठन के बाद तीनों सेनाओं के शीर्षस्थ स्तर पर एक प्रभावी नेतृत्व मिलेगा।
Welcoming the announcement, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh tweeted, "The announcement of the institution of CDS by PM Modi has been made keeping in view of the much needed reform to streamline and further improve the coordination among the three forces and their functioning. CDS will have a long-lasting and positive impact on India's security. The CDS will be senior to the service chiefs, and his primary role will be to work towards increasing operational coordination among the Army, Navy or Air Force and deal with India's national security with a comprehensive approach. He will also act as a single-point military advisor to the Prime Minister and Defence Minister on key defence and strategic issues. A high-level committee set up to examine the gaps in the country's security system in the wake of the Kargil War in 1999 had called for the appointment of a Chief of Defence Staff. A group of ministers analysing the required reforms in the national security system had also favoured appointing a Chief of Defence Staff. In 2012, the Naresh Chandra Task Force had recommended creating the post of a permanent chairman of the Chiefs of Staff Committee. Under the present structure, the chairman of the Chiefs of Staff Committee coordinates tri-services issues. The COSC comprises the Army, Navy and Indian Air Force chiefs, and the senior-most among them acts as its chairman. Military veterans as well as strategic and defence experts hailed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's announcement of creating the post of Chief of Defence Staff, saying it was a long-pending move that will help in greater integration of the three services.
It's a very welcoming steps. There has been a demand for this for last 40 years. So this decision was overdue, and I am glad this has been done today. The Prime Minister of India today, first time in the history of independent India, has announced there will be a CDS.
General VP Malik, the former chief of the army who led the force during the Kargil conflict in 1999, described it as a historic step that will ensure better jointmanship and military disciplinary coordination. While asserting that peace and security are essential to development, PM said, India won't be a mute spectator to acts of terrorism in different parts of the world. Without naming Pakistan, Prime Minister Modi said, those who support, protect and export terrorism must be exposed.
कुछ लोगों ने सिर्फ भारत को ही नहीं, हमारे पड़ोस के देशों को भी आतंकवाद से तबाह करके रखा हुआ है। बांग्लादेश भी आतंकवाद से जूझ रहा है, अफगानिस्तान भी आतंकवाद से जूझ रहा है, श्रीलंका के अंदर चर्च में बैठे हुए निर्दोष लोगों को मौत के घाट उतार दिया जा रहा है। कितनी बड़ी दर्दनाक बातें हैं, और इसलिए हमें आतंकवाद के खिलाफ जब हम लड़ाई लड़ते हैं, तब हम इस पूरे भूभाग के शांति और सुरक्षा के लिए भी हमारी भूमिका अदा करने के लिए सक्रिय काम कर रहे हैं।
The Prime Minister spoke on how his government has a clear policy on combating those creating an atmosphere of terrorism, violence and fear. and signalled that his government is going to deliver on long-pending military reforms. DD India.
The celebrations on India's 73rd Independence Day took place outside of the country as well. Celebrations were held at the Indian Embassy in Kathmandu. Indians in Sri Lanka celebrated Independence Day at India House in Colombo. The tricolour was unfurled in the Indian High Commission in Islamabad as well. A flag hoisting ceremony was held at the Indian High Commission in Dhaka. London and Wasna were not far behind either.
Indians across the world celebrated the 73rd Independence Day with great fervour. The tricolour was unfurled at Indian embassies abroad, with Indians gleaming with joy and pride, starting with our neighbours. Celebrations in Nepal were held at the Embassy of India in Kathmandu, where Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri unfurled the tricolour. After hoisting the national flag, Ambassador Puri read out the President's message.
Besides embassy officials and their family members, a large number of people from Indian community and Friends of India also joined Independence Day celebration.
With the hope of long-lasting friendship, Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli also extended his wishes and congratulated PM Modi and the people of India. Indians in Sri Lanka celebrated Independence Day at the India House in Colombo, where Indian High Commissioner Taranjit Singh Sandhu hoisted the national flag.
After abrogation of Article 370, this is the first Independence Day, and that we have this opportunity to celebrate this Independence Day in Sri Lanka.
ये मेरे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण दिन है, क्योंकि हम अलग अलग प्रांत से आए हैं, लेकिन आज हम पूरे इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं.
Another neighbour, Bangladesh, marked the celebrations with a flag hoisting ceremony at the Indian High Commission in Dhaka, where Riva Ganguly Das, the Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, unfurled the tricolour. World leaders across the globe extended their greetings to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the people of India on this important day. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu extended his wishes to Prime Minister Modi and the people of India in a video message on Twitter.
To my friend Prime Minister Modi and the people of India, Namaste. Happy Independence Day. The relations between India and Israel are like never before.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a blog post, congratulated India for its major achievements in the economy, science, technology, culture and other spheres. Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Soli wished India on its Independence Day and said in a tweet, "India is our neighbour and close friend, and we shall continue working with the Indian government to further strengthen the ties between Maldives and India." Bhutan PM Lote Tshering congratulated Prime Minister Modi on Independence Day. In a tweet he said, "I see new chapters of friendship unfold for the two countries, but for today I wish the people of India a happy Independence Day." Prime Minister Modi will be visiting Bhutan on Saturday. This will be Prime Minister's first visit after resuming power for the second term. Despite the current tensions that are prevailing between India and Pakistan and the return of the Indian High Commissioner, the tricolour was unfurled with pride at the Indian High Commission in Islamabad, Pakistan. Independence Day celebrations were also held in London and Wassenaar. Indian High Commissioner Ruchi Ghanshyam hoisted the tricolour at an event at Harcourt Square in London. The patriotic fervour was high at the India House in Wassenaar, where traditional flag hoisting ceremony followed by singing of the national anthem was held at the residence of Indian Ambassador Venu Rajamoni. DD India.
President Ramnath Kovind hosted an at-home function at Rashtrapati Bhavan yesterday. Several dignitaries, including Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, attended the function. The Indian Army has refuted the claim of the Pakistani Army that 5 Indian soldiers have been martyred in cross-border firing across the LOC. The Army has said that ceasefire violation by Pakistan was carried out by the Pakistani forces in Naugam and Krishna Ghati sector, which was responded to appropriately and befittingly. But none of our own soldiers have either been injured or martyred. Earlier yesterday, Pakistani Army admitted that 3 of its soldiers were killed in the ceasefire violations in Poonch. The Indian Army had warned last week that the Pakistani Army Twitter handles are trying to spread misinformation and falsehoods in view of Article 370 being revoked in Jammu and Kashmir. In response to the Prime Minister's call to make India free of single-use plastics, a massive public campaign will be launched engaging all stakeholders. Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Prakash Javadekar, will review all the initiatives and campaigns in this regard and chalk out a concrete plan to realize the target. The minister was addressing a gathering to celebrate 73rd Independence Day in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And police proceedings against 4 Indian crew members, including the captain aboard an Iranian oil supertanker, have ended and they were released by authorities in Gibraltar on Thursday. Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan has said that Ministry of External Affairs spoke to the High Commission of India in London and they have confirmed all 24 Indian crew aboard VLCC Grace 1 have been released by Gibraltar authorities and are free to return to India. A total of 28 crew on board the vessel include majority Indians but also Russians, Latvians and Filipinos who had spent over a month in detention on board the ship since it was seized in early July. And US President Donald Trump has urged his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to meet protesters in Hong Kong who have been demanding democratic reforms. Hong Kong has been in turmoil for weeks with protesters causing chaos at the airport earlier this week. President Trump had previously appeared to suggest that he himself should meet his Chinese counterpart to discuss the crisis in the city. Millions of Hong Kong citizens have taken part in 10 weeks of anti-government protests. Meanwhile, Hong Kong police have affirmed that 748 people have been arrested since large-scale anti-extradition bill protests erupted on the 9th of June with 115 people prosecuted. Police officials also added that 15 police officers have sustained varying degrees of eye injuries due to protesters' use of handled laser light. Police tactics are toughening after 10 weeks of increasingly violent confrontations between police and protesters plunged Hong Kong into a crisis. And Argentinians are protesting after 25% of the peso's value was wiped out in lieu of an ongoing economic crisis and a shock election result. Carrying signs of no to the IMF and we want to raise, Argentinians marched through the downtown streets of the capital to draw attention to the dire conditions many of them are currently facing. Argentina's President Mauricio Macri has promised to raise the minimum wage, temporarily freeze gasoline prices and increase the income tax bracket floor by 20%. And crude oil prices rose on Friday after 2 days of declines, buoyed by data showing a rise in US retail sales. This helped ease some concerns about a recession in the world's biggest economy. Brent crude was up 31 cents or 0.5% at $58.54 a barrel after falling 2.1% on Thursday and 3% the previous day. US crude was also up 43 cents or 0.8% at $54.90 a barrel, having fallen 1.4% of the previous session and 3.3% on Wednesday. And now for some sports news. In cricket, England managed to get the wicket of David Warner in the 13 overs they bowled at Australia on day 2 of the second Ashes Test at Lord's on Thursday. Australia trailed the hosts by 228 runs with 9 wickets in hand. Earlier, England were dismissed for 258 by Australia in the second Ashes Test at Lord's yesterday. And that's all we have for you in this edition of the news. News and updates continue on DD News and DD India. Coming up next, news for the hearing impaired. Namaskar.
West Bengal is known for its rich traditions and culture, which is amply reflected in its festivals, literature, cinema, drama and music. Balls or wandering minstrels are an important part of the mosaic that makes up the culture of Bengal. Balls, meaning afflicted with the spirit of the wind, are a group of folk devotional singers who trace back their roots to the 15th century. Generations after generation, they have acted as social communicators across villages and towns, being the voice of protest, the sound of reason, and the harbinger of danger.
বাউলের ইতিহাস বলতে গেলে বাউল যেরকম হতে চাইলে বা যারা হয় তাদের যেরকম আমার সঙ্গে যে বাউলরা আছেন এদের মোটামুটি 4-5 পুরুষ ধরে বাউল জগতে আছে। এদের বাবা বাউল ছিলেন, তার বাবারা বাউল ছিলেন, তার বাবারাও বাউল ছিলেন। এদের বংশগত পরম্পরম একটা বাউল মন্ত্রে দীক্ষা নিয়ে বাউল হয়েছেন এবং বাউল হওয়াটা হতে গেলে কি হয় না আগে সন্ন্যাস গ্রহণ করতে হয়।
Dressed in orange garbs, similar to Hindu seers, but propagating messages of unity of faith, balls travel in search of the internal ideal, moned manush or man of the heart, and practice secret devotional rites centering on the belief that the human body is the seat of all truths. The Baul philosophy is influenced by Tantrism, Buddhism, Sufism and Vaishnavism. These mystic singers of Bengal have preserved one of the oldest and fascinating Indian traditions.
Well, I think this is one of the intriguing features of the culture and the heritage of Bengal. The Bauls are so much rich in culture, and so they are about their music and their background. It's quite ethnic in value.
The Bauls play musical instruments made by themselves to accompany their songs. The instruments include gopi yantro, khamak, dotara, nupur and duggi. Gopi yantro, often called iktara, means one string and it is the most popular instrument for a Baul singer. The ghungur or nupur are always used in conjunction with Gopiyantro or Khamak. Their songs are intricately woven into the diverse cultural history of Bengal and its lifestyle. But with the passage of time, some bowls have started lending their voices to educate people and spread awareness about social issues.
আর এই বাউল হচ্ছে দেহতত্ত্ব, বাউল লীলাতত্ত্ব, বাউল রসতত্ত্ব, বাউল প্রেম তত্ত্ব, বাউল পীড়িত তত্ত্ব, বাউল সাধনা, যে আমাদের যে পিতার কিংবা আমার এই মূলধন কি করে আমি রাখবো, সেই ধরনেরও বাউলদের কাজ রয়েছে। বাউল মানে গ্রামে গঞ্জে ভিক্ষা করে সেখানে গান শুনিয়ে তাদের মনোরঞ্জন করে।
Many bowls nowadays are invited to participate in cultural program in other states and even abroad. They compose and sing songs to suit the occasions, but their lifestyle by and large remains unchanged.
There is an unwritten saying in the defense forces that if a soldier during his lifetime has served the country in the northeastern section and here in Ladakh along the Indo-China border, he is considered to be the toughest soldier of the motherland. Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force justifies each word of this saying. This is Ladakh, place of thin and rarefied air. There is very less oxygen in the air in landscape Ladakh. There are places where you would not find any blade of grass for miles. Those who belong to Ladakh have special DNA in their blood to support and survive here. The beauty, or rather the exquisite beauty of the landscape, hides one chilling fact. Ladakh was a brutal battleground of 1962 war with China, a war which every Indian wants to remember for unparalleled heroics of our defense forces. And Ladakh is the same place where China still eyes large pockets as their land. Though our neighbor is classified as a friendly nation, its many acts are opportunist and wholesomely unfriendly, looking from a journalist's point of view. All this has put our brave soldiers of Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force in direct line of engagement in possibly one of the most inhospitable regions on this planet.